walking through a ghost town. Y'all ain't playing my sounds. Don't tell me to calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. Only time I go backwards is when I wanna moonwalk. Don't test me, my mood's wrong. Don't test me, my mood's wrong. We are who we say that we are. You were lost in the stars, and it's all from the start. Never running no pace, never on the right page. But we still read that book, and we still run that race. Ay. Mississippi Racer riding out, no shortcuts, no time for that. Mississippi Racer riding out, till the wheels fall off, I'm driving that. Mississippi Racer riding out, we'll stop burning, strike the match. Mississippi Racer riding out, red light, green light, red light, good night. Ay. Red light, green light, red light, good night. 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 Time to chill, don't sweat it.
Good morning and welcome. It is Coffee and Sports. It is the morning show powered by Wire to Wire Network. Thank you so much for making us part of your morning routine. I am Chris, and of course, that over there, that is Mo. Mo, how are you this morning?
Doing great on a Friday evening.
Mo, we got before we get into some NBA stuff, we got stuff today. JG's coming on this morning, but I literally just saw this after I did show prep, and I was like, Mo and I gotta talk about this because this is just funny to me, Mo. Our boy, he's not really our boy, but we're gonna call him our boy for the sake of this segment because it makes the segment sound better. Our boy, Tony Khan, AEW president, the guy that cannot get WWE out of his head. This guy will talk about WWE and no one even cares about asking him about WWE. Mo, I bring this up because he was just recently asked a WWE question. He was asked what his thoughts were regarding WWE's recent collaboration with TNA, bringing in the TNA Knockout Champion to do a program in NXT. And this is what Tony Khan said. Since we launched AEW, we've been looking to work with the greatest wrestling companies across the planet. The relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling developed in 2021 and built to the point where we teamed to do a co-branded event like Forbidden Door. We are approaching the third one now. It's a whole new level of great cooperation between wrestling promotions to see the stars of CMLL and Stardom in addition to the great wrestlers from New Japan Pro Wrestling competing with AEW stars. I'm always open to working with great wrestling promotions all over the world. It feels like the spirit of cooperation in worldwide pro wrestling is greater than it's ever been, which is a big positive. Seeing the top stars of AEW go to Tokyo and compete at Wrestle Kingdom, I think that fans can always count on AEW and New Japan to put on great collaborations. I think this year's Forbidden Door will be one of the strongest shows any promotion will put on anywhere in the world. Tony, you were finally given an appropriate platform to speak about WWE and where people actually wanted to hear you speak about WWE, and you didn't mention them one time. Mo, what is this guy? You literally will spend days and weeks and months just saying random crap about WWE that no one wants you to say. No one asked you about it. And then you're finally asked a direct question about WWE, and you go into a 45-second diatribe where you don't even mention the company you were asked about?
And how great the status of wrestling is and the collaborations and all those types of things. And so I think that someone got to him. Maybe one of his people said, like, whatever you do, don't say anything about WWE. Not anticipating, though, what if somebody just asks you an out-and-out question?
Right.
They're expecting an answer, minus you going into a whole story about collaboration and the exciting card and all those kind of things. I really do think that even him not mentioning them is kind of him mentioning them, right? Like you're going out of your way, and the guy that asked the question, I'm sure he was like, yeah, exactly. Right? You know what I mean? Exactly. That's exactly the answer I expected.
We had game 3 of the NBA Finals last night, and if you are a Dallas Mavericks fan, Mo, this is This is not where you want to be. It doesn't look pretty. Mo, it's almost Golden State Warrior-ish, isn't it? You have a team that was the favorite coming in, and let's be honest, during the Warriors run, they were their own worst enemy. If the Warriors were going to lose a game, if the Warriors were going to be in trouble of losing a series, it was because of them. They turned the ball over. They had bad passes. They got cold from three. And then if they just flipped the switch and they just didn't play boneheaded basketball and they hit their wide open looks, you couldn't stop them. And we've kind of seen a little bit of that here from Boston. I mean, they blew the doors off in game one. You look at game two and game three. So game two, they build up the big lead and then they lose the big lead, but hang on, that's very Warriors-esque. And then in game three, you know, there were times where they kind of looked flat in game three. They came out of the gate kind of slow. I think they were down 12 or 13 midway through or towards the end of the first quarter. And they kind of hung around. They battled back. They built themselves up a big lead in the third quarter, only to watch that lead dwindle back down twice late in the game. It was, you know, I think it was down to 1 with under 3 minutes to go. It was down to 2 with about a minute to play in the game. And they just made the shots. They made the shots and they held up and they made the plays on the defensive side when they had to. And if you go back and you look at the Warriors' run when they weren't blowing people out of the water in the end, these were the kind of games they played. Games where they often had big double-digit leads that went away. Games where they had to make big shots at the end. And that's just kind of the brand of basketball that they lived and died by. And I know it's only one series. I'm not saying this is going to be a Warriors type of team moving forward.
Right.
I looked at this series so far through 3 games, and I'm like, I've seen this before, Mo. I've seen this brand of basketball. But, Mo, I also think what this really says is how much better they are than Dallas. The fact that they can blow them out of the water in game one, the fact that they can build up a 20-point lead in game two to have it go away but still hang on. The fact that they can come back from being down double digits in game three to being up double digits to being within 1 possession to still making the you know what I mean? All those things, I think it more goes and more attests to the fact that they're that much better than Dallas. Now, if you had like a Denver in here, if you had a, you know, maybe if OKC was in here, maybe they couldn't do all those things with that ease. Maybe they couldn't just, just avoid the 20-point collapse. Maybe they couldn't at will come back from the double digit if you had a team that was a little bit better than Dallas. But they're playing Dallas. So that's all that matters right now. And I think the one thing we're seeing here through 3 games, Mo, is they are just that much better than Dallas.
Yeah, they're the better team. And we knew they were the better team coming into this. We knew that Dallas would have to play at a higher level than what they played at in the conference finals. They would have to be that much better. And they haven't really been that. Now, to be fair, the Celtics are a completely different animal they're dealing with. When they played Minnesota, what they knew for sure is with Minnesota, we could get away with sliding and hedging because they only had one guy that could really beat you off the dribble, one guy that could put you on your heels. The Celtics have 4 guys that can put the ball on the floor and get their shot. 4. And that's not counting Porzingis, who's a matchup nightmare because of his ability to stretch the floor. And so I think it's very difficult. It's funny because I got invited to a Celtics chat during the game.
Oh, okay. Big guy.
And I thought, why not? I go in there. And of course,
why not?
Of course, the conversation is so lopsided. It's, come on, Luka basically pushes off every time he dribbles the ball. Goddamn it! I mean, it's that kind of thing. Like, and I was just sitting there, like, I was like, well, I don't know about it every time. Every time. But then they get into how is Luka the best player in basketball, and he can't do anything on defense. Like, he's useless on defense. And I'm like, that's interesting because I thought about that. I think that's interesting because without hesitation, Luka's the best player in the series. Without hesitation, Luka's one of the 3 best players in basketball. And I thought at James Harden's peak, at his peak in Houston, it's about 7 years where you could book him for like 30 points, 8 rebounds, almost 10 assists. Pretty much very similar numbers to Luka. And James Harden always, except for the year I think with Chris Paul, he always would go up against Golden State with a good team, but we knew the Golden State was a better team. And he would put up his numbers, but he would have turnovers and he would come up short when it mattered most, and Golden State would win the series. And we killed James Harden. We did. We talked about how he couldn't win big. We talked about how he didn't play defense. And yeah, I think Luka does get a pass because what is certain, what is a bona fide fact, as great a player as Luka Doncic is, he is the whiningest, cryingest player in the history of basketball. Luka cries, he cries for calls when there's no call to be made. He flops and then cries for calls. Like he fouled out on a play where he flopped two at the same time. He managed to flop and foul and but crying the whole time. A great player, but the biggest baby, the biggest whiner in the NBA by far. And I thought about that, and I'm like, he's not the best player in basketball. I still think it's Joker. I do. I think it's Joker. His team came up short, but I think Denver's done and like, well, that's the last. We'll see if the Nuggets. No, I think that Dallas is a very good team, but I think Dallas, where they're at is they had a great run, Chris. I don't think Dallas is getting ready to be the beast in the West, right? Like they're gonna own the West for the next 4 or 5 years. I don't see that at all. I think they're gonna always be in contention, but I don't think they're gonna run the West. I think the Nuggets are still at the top. Maybe the Timberwolves join them there. But I say that to say this: Luka's arguably, other than Joker, probably the best offensive player, bar none, in basketball. I don't think nobody would argue that because of all the things he does well on the offensive side of the floor. But I never once thought he was the best player in basketball. I don't. I find it difficult because he doesn't take the heat that Harden takes. He doesn't. And I wonder why. I don't know why that is, but he doesn't. And as bad as Harden used to be defensively, he wasn't crying all the time. Not like this. And I know they've got that tag where they call these guys foul merchants. Well, Luka's right there with Harden. He's one of the great foul merchants of all time. And by the way, he gets a great whistle. We talked about that, right? He gets a great whistle and still crying. I think Luka Doncic, no question, is one of the top 5 players in basketball. I don't think he's the best player in basketball. He's got a ways to go, and I don't think he needs to be an all NBA defender or anything of that nature. But I think he's got to be smarter, and I think he's got to be more of a leader. If I've got 5 fouls and Jaylen Brown's about to blow by me, rather than just try to flop and draw a foul from him, I think I'll just let him go. I'll let him go because I know that I'm good enough. I'll get that back. I might even get an and one on the other end, but what I'm not going to do is bail out and do that. So I found it interesting because I was like, yes, a couple of things are factual. Jason Tatum is a better player on both sides. When you say, is he better than Luka when you look at overall? Well, yeah, because he actually can defend at a high level. But is he a better player in terms of his impact on the game? No. But that was always the argument with Harden, right, Chris? That Harden wasn't great defensively, but he was so dominant offensively that he impacted the game. Like if somebody said, hold up, Mo Pal, Klay Thompson's better than Harden because Klay Thompson was a two-way player. He was a two-way player, but he wasn't better than James Harden as an individual talent. Klay had the luxury of being a number 2, which is what he was. If there was no Steph Curry and it was Golden State led by Klay Thompson, there would be no rings. So I think people need to know the distinction. That he's a two-way player thing is cool. That doesn't mean you're better. Tatum is a two-way player. I don't think he's better than Luka. I don't think Luka's better than some other guys that are in the top 5 because he's so great offensively. I think he should start being looked at the same way we looked at Harden. That ultimately, for all your numbers, I need to see you win. I do. I need to see you win. And they'll say, well, he doesn't have the best team, Mo Pal. Like, he doesn't. You're right. I agree with that. And newsflash, no top free agent in the NBA is going to Dallas willingly. I don't know why that is. It just is.
And let's not forget, because Dallas fans are probably upset with you right now, Mo. But, Mo, when the team comes out, and this report came out this morning, prior to the game last night, Dallas officials were begging Luka to stop talking to the refs so much in the games. When people from your own organization, I'm not talking about fellow players, I am talking about execs, front office people, were getting in Luka's ear after game 2 before game 3, basically saying, can you just stop? Can you just stop talking to the officials? Stop getting on their bad side. Stop getting them riled up. Focus on what's happening on the floor. If your team is telling you those things, Mo, you know it's an issue. Because if they're seeing it to the point where they feel like they need to address it with you, knowing that it might come out on the back end, that they talk to you about it, you know that it's an issue. And if you watch last night's game, he spent more time arguing with officials than I think he did anything else, because he didn't play well last night necessarily. He played okay, but he wasn't.
I thought he started off okay. I thought he started off well.
He started off well. Well, the whole team started off well. Kyrie was doing things in that first half where I was like, okay, Kyrie. But as the game wore on, you saw it every time, like you said, Mo, every time Luka was looking at the officials. And you can't split your mind that much. If almost every time down the floor you're looking for a call, you start slipping on little things. You're not getting back on deep. If you're talking to the officials, what are you not doing? You're not playing basketball.
Right.
So the more he's chirping with the officials, the slower he is to get back on the defensive side, the more his head is focused on the call that he just didn't get, or the explanation. You know what I mean? Like when you're doing it over and over and over again, you can't sit here and argue if you're a Dallas fan. No, he's still 100% engaged in the game. No, he isn't. Because you can argue a few calls throughout the game, and it's just you got 3 seconds, you state your point, and your head's right back in it. But he was arguing the entire night, essentially from, I felt like, the middle of the second quarter on. He was in chirp mode.
And I think that impacts your team, right? Doesn't it? It kind of impacts your team as well. Like I'm just saying, like, and here's the thing: there were a couple of calls late, like the calls that he fouled out on Jaylen Brown, where Jaylen tried to cross him, and Luka just tried to throw himself in there and flop. I think a lot of times the referees might have just held their whistle and they would have just let him play on. I actually think they got to the point where they were like, I could go as Luka and I'm not going to make that call, but this guy's been talking all night. I think I will make that call. Like, because when people do the argument, like, when that time of the game in an NBA Finals, you can't let a great player like that foul out, and then but when you start off with, well, by the letter of the law, that's a foul, right? It's a foul. It's a foul. As soon as you try to start your argument, well, if you're going to let it, well, that's where you're supposed to go, right? It's a foul. But if he wasn't whining and chirping the whole game, maybe if I'm an official, I might be like, play on, right?
Right.
But this guy is just nonstop running your mouth. Like, I'm like, you know what? You're out. I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. You just can't be quiet. Like, hey, it's been a problem, not like in recent years. He's been crying since his rookie year. He's always like great player, but nonstop crying. Like, there's a play where Derek White grabs a rebound and he just clocks him, and then he looks around like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, he is constantly whining. You could be a great player, but I don't think it makes you a great leader. I don't think Luka's a great leader. I don't think he's gotten to that place yet. And again, I'm not in no way saying he's not a top 5 player. I'm not saying that the Mavs wouldn't be in this finals if not for what he can do. I 100% will co-sign on that. But I've said this since his rookie year. I've watched him play, and I think it's going to hold true. I don't think his brand of basketball is going to win you a title. It won't. I think it literally has hit its ceiling this season, and that was really more about a great run, right? It's a great run. Had Dallas played Denver, we wouldn't be having this conversation. It's a great run, not a great team. And I don't see ultimately where his success with his style of play will be any better when you're talking about winning titles than James Harden. It will be very impressive statistically, but it has a ceiling. And the ceiling is you don't win titles.
Well, the Cleveland Cavaliers have come out through the back channels and said that they intend to keep their core 4 together. Now, that's great to feel, and that's great to say. Do you think that ends up holding true?
No. No. No, I think they're saying all the right things, but guess what? Everybody wants money, right, Chris? Everybody wants money. And even Max Strus, who they just gave a deal to, I think Darius Garland. And really, if you look at their core four, I don't think it's the kind of core four that's going to take you to a title or a conference championship. I think they really need to look at their roster as a whole. What Donovan Mitchell needs, he needs to play with somebody who's as good or better than he is. And they don't offer that on Cleveland. They have some good players, but I think they're all complementary players. Darius Garland's a complementary player. So is Jared Allen. So is Evan Mobley, who I think everybody thought Evan Mobley was going to be a 20-10 guy. He's a good player, but I think he'll always just be a good player. He may make a couple of all-NBA defensive teams, but I don't think he's going to make any all-star teams. I don't think he has a higher level that he can go to. If I wanted to do a player comp, I would say that Evan Mobley is a modern-day Horace Grant. Nothing wrong with that. Very good player, but a complimentary player. I would say this, if they kept the core four together, you're keeping them together so you can get knocked out in the second round again next year. Okay.
So the report came from Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports. He reported that Mitchell, Garland, Allen, and Mobley, there is no intent to move any of them. He said, despite a wealth of interest in both Garland and Allen on the trade market, Cleveland is not expected to entertain trade offers for any members of its core four at this time, while league-wide expectation only grows that Mitchell will sign a contract extension with the club that acquired him from Utah back in September of 2022. I agree, Mo. They're not winning a title with those four.
No, right. So I get it. You can keep them and you'll be good, but you're not going to win any. How about this? Here's the proposition, Cleveland. You go all in and bring in another star that's as good or better than Mitchell, and then just put some complementary role players around them. Maybe you go to one finals and you win it all, and then you're average to below average for the next 5 years, or you keep the core four together and you're just average for the next 5 years. Which would you go with? You know what I mean? Like there's a team that can say, we've been good for 10 years and we've won 50 plus games for a decade, but you haven't won any titles. And then there's team two that they haven't won 50 games for 10 years, but in that 10-year span, they have won 3 titles. Who would you rather be?
You're almost signing up for the Dallas Mavericks right now if you're Cleveland, aren't you? You're almost signing up for, we're going to be the 3rd, 4th, 5th seed in the East, depending on how things shake out with some of the top guys. And matchups, or if Boston has an injury going into the playoffs, and they get knocked out early, we could be that team that slips into the finals one year. We're not going to win it because we're probably going to get the doors beaten off of us by OKC or Denver or whoever comes up from the West. Right. But we could, over the next 5 years, if things just fall right, we're going to be in the playoffs every year, but we could slip into
it can happen.
The finals.
It can look here. What do they talk about, Chris? Heat culture.
Right.
You and I both agree Jimmy Butler is a terrific player, but as a number one, not likely to win a championship, right? Not as the number one. But Miami was able to get to 2 finals under Jimmy Butler. They slipped in. They went on those runs. They're you know what they are? I would say they equate to what Eli Manning did with the Giants, except they didn't win it all, right? They went on great runs, but they weren't dominant teams. And I think that's what Cleveland is signing up for. Or like you said, to your point about the Mavs, like you need more weapons, but it's so hard. And I don't know if the draw is people just don't want to go to Dallas, or the draw is there's a lot of stars that are not signing up, maybe for similar reasons, to watch Luka dribble the air out the ball.
That's the biggest reason. They don't want to play with Luka.
He's a terrific player, but he is a ball dominant, dribble the air out the ball. People don't want to admit it. His style, it might look different. It literally looks like James Harden, except he's not left-handed. And it's difficult if you're a guy that's used to averaging 28 a game and going like, I can score. I've got talent. I can do my thing, but I'm at the mercy of whenever this guy wants to cough the ball up.
Yep.
A lot of guys aren't going to sign up for that, and that's the difficulty in having that type of star. I'm not telling you get rid of Luka. You want to keep him, but I think that does he need to alter his style of play? Can he play without the basketball in his hands? Like when you watch Dallas play, he's at his best, obviously, with the ball in his hands, Chris. But when he doesn't have the ball in his hands, he's not cutting back door. He's not setting a screen for somebody. He literally just watches what Kyrie does and goes, "It's my turn." I mean, that's not really a system. That's just
or
two
he
great
chirps with the
one-on-one
ref.
players. Well,
Right.
yeah, but that's true. That's true. If he didn't have the ball in his hands, it's just extra time to have a conversation. That's a good point.
Because he does do that. He does seek out refs when it's not him as well. So he gets on more when it's him, but he also seeks out officials when he feels that other players are not getting their foul calls. So
he is very sarcastic. Like, I know you're a baseball guy. I know umpires can't stand it when a player tries to show them up, right?
Correct.
They lose. Well, look, Luka just can't stop talking. And sometimes he's talking, and it's a play that has nothing to do with him, but he's over there all exasperated. Like, you saw that? You saw that? I'm getting that every time I go down the court. Like, man, what a crybaby. Jesus.
Mo, oftentimes when we talk about greatness, you don't really appreciate it until you compare it to situations that we are familiar with. And then you see how that situation embraces the greatness. And then you say to yourself, man, it's pretty great. And I want you to think about this, all right? Generally speaking, there's 32 teams in the NFL, right? Every team has a ring of fame or a hall of fame, or they have something where they enshrine their greatest players of all time. And how does this usually happen, Mo? It happens during the halftime of a primetime game. So the Bears are playing Monday Night Football. They got one Monday Night Football that season. Well, during that one Monday Night Football game, during halftime, they're going to bring out the jacket and they're going to induct so-and-so into the Ring of Honor or so-and-so into the Bears Hall of Fame. And they're going to give a little speech during that 12-minute halftime session. And everyone's going to cheer them. And there's going to be a big video montage up on the board. And it's going to be a great, 6 or 7 minute moment. Mo, that's how the mere Hall of Fame mortals go into their team's Hall of Fame. Then you have Tom freaking Brady. You are not going to induct Tom Brady during a 12-minute halftime show in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Tom Brady gets a black tie night. It was Tom Brady Hall of Fame, not NFL Hall of Fame. It was Tom Brady New England Patriots Hall of Fame induction last night. All the stars were there, former Patriot stars, former quarterback rivals. Peyton Manning was there. I believe Eli Manning was there. Everybody showed up and showed out to celebrate Tom Brady being inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame. Not even the NFL Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's the Patriots Hall of Fame. And it was a full-on black tie, red carpet affair. That's how you know he's different, Mo. For everybody else, for every other mere Hall of Fame mortal, you get the halftime show. You get the 12 minutes of a primetime game. If you weren't that important, you get the 12 minutes of the 1 o'clock game. But Tom Brady gets a whole night to him. We're not even playing football right now. He's not being inducted on a football field, Mo. He does it on a stage. There was video montages. His kids made this heartstring pulling video montage of their dad. Randy Moss was blubbering on stage, talking about how much Tom did for his career and how Tom basically resurrected the backside of his career after all the different things that he went through before he landed with the Patriots. Mo, all you can do is look at it and bow your head and say, it's the greatest.
And they did it the way you should do the greatest. Like, the NFL Hall of Fame obviously means more in the bigger picture. It carries more weight. But when he goes into the NFL Hall of Fame, it won't look anything like that. They won't put nothing together like that. Like I actually watched some of it. He was I was going to use the word serenaded, but not serenaded. Jay-Z put out Jay-Z was rapping to him coming out of his car. Like he had Jay-Z there, man. Like, come on. Like
John Cena narrated the opening video montage for the night. Like, what?
Like, I'm watching that and I'm like, NFL, take a hint. This is how you induct a great player into the Hall of Fame. Matter of fact, NBA, take a hint. This is how you induct somebody. Like you said, the Patriots Hall of Fame induction for Tom Brady will be much better than anybody else's induction ever. Like, that was a baller induction. All you can do is, like you said, is go, that's why he's the GOAT. He even does that better than everybody else. Right. He did it that much bigger. Like, wow. That's the guy.
That's the guy. That's the guy. And the crazy thing is, even though we've seen it, we're not going to see it again. Maybe LeBron. LeBron has an ego.
I think LeBron will see what Brady did and go, he's going to talk to Rich Paul. We got to go bigger than that.
It's got to be bigger than that.
Yeah, he's going to be like, I'll parachute down. Parachute down. And on the parachute, it'll say GOAT, James. Like,
and then we're going to release 1,000 goats into the field.
Right. Just running loose. Right, yeah. LeBron's got to top that. If there's one athlete that can top it, it's LeBron.
Some are going to have on Heat jerseys. Some are going to have on Cavs jerseys. Some of the Lakers jerseys on.
He's going to have greats from the Heat, greats from the Cavs, greats from the Lakers. Oh, you bet. You bet. LeBron is going to do it. Brady has set the bar. So now LeBron's got to up the ante.
And LeBron's going to bring in greats from other sports.
Oh, I agree.
So he won't just have the basketball greats. He's going to bring in legends from football. He's going to bring in a legend from baseball. He's going to have all the sports there to show how global he is.
That's right. He's iconic. He's going to have Usain Bolt. Maybe Michael Phelps. Yeah, 100%. Somebody from the entertainment industry too.
Beyonce's gonna sing.
Right. You had Jay-Z. I'll go bigger. I'll go his wife, Beyonce. I'll go bigger. Yeah, I agree. Maybe Taylor Swift.
The New York Jets are being the New York Jets. We haven't even really done anything meaningful in football yet, and there is already this weirdness around Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers is currently not with the team. He is attending some personal business, which is fine. Players, especially veterans at this time of the year, they skip out on the optional stuff. The veterans even skip out on the mandatory stuff, and they just take the fine and they lose the, $6,500 a day. They're like, whatever, I'm not coming. I'm too old for this crap. You can hang out with the rookies. I'll pay the $30,000 or $60,000 total to not be there. Money well spent.
Right.
And we don't bat an eye at it. Because we're like, yeah, they're the vets. They don't want to go through that nonsense. So I don't think any of us would have batted an eye at the Aaron Rodgers situation, except for the fact that yesterday, Mo, or it might have been the day before yesterday, they put the unexcused tag to describe Aaron Rodgers. So it was released by the Jets. This isn't something that the media was making up. The Jets confirmed that Aaron Rodgers was not at mandatory, whatever it was, and that it was an unexcused absence. Because, and then Robert Saleh addressed this in his press conference. He said that Aaron Rodgers wasn't there. And let me see if I have it in front of me, because I want to use his words and I don't want to paraphrase, but I don't know if I threw it down. I did. He says that he is unexcused. His unexcused absence is an event for something that is important to him.
Okay.
So is it clearly not important to you,
right,
Robert Saleh, because you stressed that it was important to Aaron. So you're saying that his absence is unexcused, which means you're not on board with it as the head coach of the team, because wouldn't you be the one to excuse him in theory? Got it. Or maybe it's a GM decision. I don't know how those things work, but either way, the team wasn't supportive of it. And then when you talked about it, you specifically said that he is attending something that's important to him, which means you must support the unexcused thing because you're not apparently supporting Aaron in this statement. That was 2 days ago. Fast forward to yesterday, and now we're backtracking. Now Robert Saleh we're okay with him not being here. He has things he has to do. Many veterans aren't here during these first few weeks. He's been putting in so much work during the offseason. He's ahead of where he needs to be. Everything is cool. Nobody in the organization is upset with him. This is how you handle the first real Aaron Rodgers hiccup. Because remember, Mo, last year it was all honeymoon. Last year it was all honeymoon from the time they acquired him until he stepped out onto that field for the first time. Everything was honeymoon phase. You didn't hear, there was not one crooked glance. There was not one sideways comment. Everything was, he's happy to be here. We're happy to have him here. We're going to accomplish amazing things. Super Bowl, playoffs, division, AFC championship game. It was all sunshines and rainbows and hugs and kisses. And now we are not even to the preseason, and we already have our first hiccup. Oh, Chris, it's not that big of a deal. Isn't it, though, guys? Y'all couldn't get on the same page for this really unimportant thing of he just wanted time off for something where you were like, really? You're going to miss mandatories for that? And he's like, yeah, I am. I'm going to miss mandatories for that.
Right.
So behind closed doors, you say, well, damn, we really think you should be here. But if you're just going to choose not to show up and take your fine, I guess we really can't do anything about it. And that's all you say. And on the little sheet that goes out to the media, you put excused, personal reasons, and you move on. You never talk about it again, Mo. But no, the New York Jets can't even do that correctly. They got to put unexcused. So, of course, people are going to ask Saleh, why wasn't Aaron here today? You said it was unexcused. What's going on? He's just doing something that's important to him. Oh, got it. So you guys don't want him to do it. There was probably a conversation. He said he was going to do it anyways. So you guys are upset with him.
You know, that's what happened.
And then yesterday, so are you guys still, we're not upset? What? No, we love it. No. What gave you that impression? You did. You gave us that impression.
Right.
And well, what are we doing?
You know what we're doing. Saleh said his initial statement, and then Aaron Rodgers got on the phone and said, be careful, Saleh.
That's exactly right.
Be real careful. Because if it comes down to you or me, they're going to go with me. Be really careful. Know your place. Saleh comes out with a new statement like, well, no, he's a veteran. That's exactly what happened. Aaron Rodgers texted or called Robert Saleh and told him, like, watch yourself, Saleh.
That's right. Son.
Right. That's exactly what happened.
You better take the bass out of your voice when you talk about me in your press conferences.
Right. Indoor voice, Saleh. Right. Indoor voice. Watch it.
Oh, I cannot even. Mo, I'm going to throw this on you because I have such a bias towards Chris Sims that I cannot deal. So I have a hard time giving Chris Sims credit for absolutely anything that he does because I think he is one of the worst analysts in the NFL. But with that being said, we're going to go through his football list. Every year, Chris Sims releases his greatest quarterbacks going into the season list. He calls it the top 40 quarterback countdown. He's been doing this for I don't even know how long he's been doing this.
He's not on there.
No. If he could be. Most years, I think his list is pretty garbage. But again, this is about you, Mo. I'm going to try to be reserved until you give some of your opinions. So we're just going to go 40 through 1. And then we'll go nice and slow, and you can stop me when you have an issue, okay?
Sure.
Now, not only has he ranked them 1 through 40, he has also put them into these little clumps. And these little clumps he has given little names to. And I want to say, I'm going to preface this with my opinion. We can talk about this more as we go through it. But I feel like because he's clumping them together with these cute little names, that he had to stick people together to do that. So I feel like maybe that hurt his ranking a little bit, or maybe he just did the ranking and he made the cute names afterwards. I don't know. Let's see where we end up. So we start with number 40. Number 40, number 39, and number 38 are all in the backup category. They're called backup plus, according to Chris Sims. And that is Jarrett Stidham, Gardner Minshew, and Kenny Pickett. They are 40 through 38. Backup plus. Any issues so far?
Only that I would say that Minshew's the better player, the best player of that group, but sure. I don't know where they rank him, but he's better than the other two.
Oh, he's behind Kenny Pickett.
They're wrong already. wrong already. Wrong already.
Yeah. So Kenny Pickett is 38th, Minshew is 39th, and Stidham is 40th.
Yeah.
So that's okay. I like where we're going, Mo. We're already off to a good start. Then we have the next two quarterbacks. They are considered the throwbacks. At number 37, we have Joe Flacco, and at number 36, we have Jacoby Brissett. I think Flacco is better than Jacoby Brissett. I would have flipped those as well.
Yeah, I think he's better than Jacoby Brissett. Look, Flacco's whole deal is the turnover, but when he's on, you saw what he could do. Even getting up off the couch, I don't think it's close. Like Jacoby Brissett will never have a year like Flacco had in just a short time he was with the Browns, ever.
And if you look at Brissett, Pickett, Minshew, and Stidham, I think the next closest to Flacco is Minshew.
Agreed.
So I think that Flacco should have been 36 and Minshew should have been 37. And Jacoby Brissett should have been in the backup plus category.
With Stidham and the other guy, Pickett.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. All right. Then we move into the young and the reckless. You see what he did there? A little soap opera reference. The young and the reckless.
He's telling on himself, too.
Yeah, he's something. Number 35, Jameis Winston. Number 34 is Bryce Young. Number 33 is Sam Darnold. And number 32 is Anthony Richardson.
I'm not the biggest Jameis Winston fan, but I actually think he's better than Sam Darnold. And from what we saw in Bryce Young's rookie year, he's still better than him too. So he's got to be ahead of those two.
Agreed. We are completely in agreement. Would you put Flacco or Minshew ahead of any of them? Being Young, Darnold, and Richardson.
I think Flacco's better than Young. I think he's better than Darnold. Richardson is kind of a question mark, but definitely better. Flacco should be much further up on this list so far.
Then we have number 31. He stands by himself. He is in the for hire section, and that is Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill, number 31. He is for hire. Is Ryan Tannehill better than Anthony Richardson, Jameis Winston, and Joe Flacco?
No. I don't think he's better than any of them. I mean, you could disagree, but
I agree with you. I agree with you, Mo.
Oh.
I don't know why he's number 31. I would put Flacco ahead of him. Now, if you're talking prime Ryan Tannehill when he was with Miami or his first 2 years in Tennessee,
he was very good. No argument.
I would say that but then again, if you're talking prime Flacco, I think Flacco's still better than Ryan Tannehill. So, but we're talking about going into this season, and Tannehill's last 2 years with Tennessee have been a dumpster fire. Like, he can't throw the ball 15 yards down the field with any consistency. So, no, I don't think he's better than Joe Flacco right now. And I would even take Gardner Minshew over Ryan Tannehill for this season. If you said, Chris, you either got to start Tannehill for 18 games or you got to start Minshew for 18 games. And I love Ryan Tannehill, but I'm starting Gardner Minshew for those 18 games because I think he can win more games.
He'll take better care of the football for sure.
Correct. All right, so that was 40 through 31. Our next subsection, Mo, is called the Ready Rookies. Oh, you weren't sure. Was he going to put the rookies on the list? Oh, he put them all on the list. Number 30 is J.J. McCarthy. Number 29 is Bo Nix. Number 28 is Jaden Daniels. Number 27 is Michael Penix Jr., and then sneaking in there at number 26 is Will Levis. 26, Will Levis. So what we're saying here is we are saying that 4 quarterbacks who have never played a down in the NFL, McCarthy, Nix, Daniels, and Penix Jr., are better than Joe Flacco?
Right. And
going into this season?
Right. And in the case with Penix, you're not going to play unless there's an injury. So
right.
So we're not going to know anytime soon how good you are. And like you said, unproven. I get the potential for a lot of these young men, but there's no way you can tell me right now today they're better than him. He's seen all the defenses. He's seen all the coverages. No, I disagree with that. These guys, I get it. The argument is they're your quarterbacks for the future, but you're ranking them as how good they are right now today. They're not better than him.
Is Will Levis?
He's not better than him.
6 spots better than Anthony Richardson? Anthony Richardson is 32nd. Will Levis is 26th.
I feel like we keep, whenever I hear Will Levis and some of the other names, I feel like we keep coming back to Minshew. Is he better than Minshew?
I don't think he is better than Gardner Minshew. And Gardner Minshew is down there 39th.
Right. That's my point. I don't think he's better than Minshew either. I don't know what Sims is seeing.
All right, let's get into the pooper get off the toilet category.
Nice.
That is number 25, Justin Fields. Number 24, Deshaun Watson. Number 23, Daniel Jones. Is Daniel Jones better than Deshaun Watson and Justin Fields?
No. And Deshaun Watson has not been the best version of himself, but he's still better than Daniel Jones. And I would say that Justin Fields is better than Daniel Jones. I'll go you a step further. I don't know where he is, but Russell Wilson is better than Daniel Jones. I mean, we can keep going, but yeah.
All right, next category is the glory days. Number 22 is Derek Carr, and number 21 is Russell Wilson.
There you go.
Better than Daniel Jones.
Yeah, well, look, I think Russ is better than Derek Carr. I don't think it's funny because Russ takes a lot more heat. I feel like Derek Carr always get like some kind of sympathy play. Like
he does. Always I don't know why.
You know what I mean? There's always an excuse, and they go and then they lead with, but the guys love him in the locker room. I don't care. I would rather my guys hate my quarterback, but he's great. You know what I mean? Like
apparently they don't really love him in New Orleans in the locker room.
At least not in New Orleans, right? Right. Whatever magic he had in the Raiders locker room, it didn't carry over.
It did not carry over. All right, we get to number 20, Mo. Number 20 is a one-man field. It's the chosen one, Caleb Williams. 20th best quarterback in the NFL. Hasn't played it down yet.
I just don't know how he does these rankings. If you lead with potential, I get where you're going, but right now today, I don't know that he's the 20th ranked quarterback. And I don't think he's better than the guy that he literally replaced in Justin Fields. Not right now today.
Now going into next season, maybe.
Right.
Maybe.
Or maybe over the course of this season, but not before we play game one. I disagree with that.
Now we go into they're good but category. That is number 19, Geno Smith. Number 18, Tua Tagovailoa. Number 17, Brock Purdy. Number 16, Kyler Murray. And number 15, Baker Mayfield. So both of our quarterbacks ended up in they're good, but not, and we're 17 and 18, respectively.
So I get why Purdy's there. I'm not gonna trip. I think that might. I feel like he should be higher than that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not talking about he's one of the elite of the elite. I feel like Purdy and Tua should be like
they're better than Kyler.
Right. I feel like
they're better than Baker.
Right. They should be knocking on the top 10, but not in the top 10. Does that make sense?
No, I agree. And there's one more guy when we get up into this next one I think they should be ahead of too. Next up are the wild cards. Now, this one, I don't really like him, but this one kind of blew me away. Number 14, Aaron Rodgers.
Really?
The 14th best quarterback going into this season.
Wow.
14th.
That sounds personal, Sam.
Doesn't that sound personal?
That's personal.
Aaron Rodgers is the 14th best quarterback, and who is sitting above him 13th? Jordan Love.
Really? That's perfect. That is personal. Sam did that on purpose.
Aaron Rodgers is between Baker Mayfield and Jordan Love on a greatest quarterback list. In what universe, Mo?
I want to know. And let me say this: if he plays like he's the 14th ranked quarterback,
the Jets aren't going nowhere.
They're not going anywhere. Exactly.
The Jets are going to 8 or 9 wins. That's where they're going.
So if Sims is right, it's going to be a rough year for the Jets.
Mo, I also think that Tua and Brock are better than Jordan Love. Jordan Love put together 7 good games and a playoff win against a team that is notoriously known for not winning playoff games.
Yeah,
I need to see a full season of it.
I need more. I need a bigger body of work. For what it's worth, I think Purdy's body of work is better. I think Tua's body of work is better. I'm not putting him ahead of them.
No, with Brock, you're literally talking about a guy that just went to the Super Bowl. He was in the MVP conversation. Tua has led his team to the playoffs 2 seasons in a row and been in the MVP conversation. Jordan Love had 6 good games and 1 lopsided playoff win against the Dallas Cowboys. It almost doesn't count. It's almost invalid when you blow out the Cowboys in the playoffs. But apparently he's the 13th best quarterback in the league. Number 12 is Kirk Cousins, and just missing the top 10 is Trevor Lawrence. And I'm happy he has Trevor Lawrence outside the top 10 because I think at this point he doesn't deserve to be a top 10 quarterback because he's been riding that potential wave, Mo, and that's been putting him in the top 10, but he hasn't been showing you the results consistently on the field. So I agree. I would have him outside my top 10 too.
Agreed. I have no problem with that. I think that at some point he's been getting this pass on what he could be. I actually feel like going into this season, there's a couple of guys that got drafted this year that might surpass him.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the top 10. Number 10, Jared Goff. I'm here for it. I think what he's done in Detroit the past couple of seasons, if you're just talking about going into this season, I think Jared Goff is a top 10 quarterback.
I have no arguments with that. I'm a Niners fan, but I'm looking at not just his numbers, but how well he fits that system.
Correct.
Like he is perfect for what they do offensively. No argument for me.
Number 9 is Jalen Hurts. Number 8 is Dak Prescott. A couple of years ago, I think this would have been reversed when we had all that hype on Jalen. But I think for right now, them being back-to-back 9 and 8, I'm okay with that.
I think that's actually a good ranking on Sims' part. I'm fine with that so far. So far, I'm more impressed with his top 10. Yeah. Yeah.
The one issue I have with his top 10 is going to come right here at number 7, and that is where he has CJ Stroud.
Really?
I think CJ is going to be a great quarterback. He had a great season, but Mo, I like to see 2 seasons worth of work before we just say that you are the 7th best quarterback in the league. Now, if he was just inside the top 10 or just outside the top 10, I had no issue with it. I think he's only a few spots higher than he should be, but I don't like us getting on the big hype train if we don't see it happen for at least a second season.
No, I'm of the opinion that I need to see more because we know in sports, especially in football, guys are capable of having a great season. But what happens when teams adjust to what you do? Like if you remember what he looked like versus the Ravens, and again, that's an elite defense, but they knew what he liked to do, where he likes to throw the ball, where he likes to launch from, and I mean they were in his grill. I think he should be like right outside the top 10. That's just me.
Now he could be top 5 by the end of this season.
And I think again, but that would be him showing us another, adding on to his body of work. But if you're just going off of one season, that's all I have. I can't make you the 7th best quarterback based off one season.
Number 6 is Justin Herbert. I don't think Herbert should be this high either. I see Herbert and I see a lot of the Trevor Lawrence stuff. I see a lot of the potential, and I know that Herbert has better numbers than Trevor Lawrence does, and Herbert broke all these records his first 2 years in the league. But I look at Herbert and I go, what are you doing with your numbers? Because there's no playoff success. There's plenty of fourth quarter collapses where you couldn't get it done. You know what I mean, Mo? Like, great talent at the quarterback position, but isn't it almost Matthew Stafford, Detroit Lions-esque? Like, yes. You sit there and you say to yourself, wow, if he ever got onto a good team,
right,
he would just tear it up. But then you look at the Chargers and you realize they were kind of a good team.
And so the excuse he had was the ineptness of the coach, right?
Right.
he won't get that pass now with Jim Harbaugh.
Nope.
Like, if things don't go well, if he throws 3 picks or they struggle offensively, he's going to start catching heat. They're not going to go, well, his coach doesn't know anything about offensive quarterbacks. That's not true at all. So I think that Herbert's one of those kind of guys that he's very much along the Trevor Lawrence thing where you've been getting a pass. I don't think he gets a pass anymore.
Let's go top 5. Number 5 is Matthew Stafford. Number 4 is Lamar Jackson. Number 3 is Joe Burrow. Number 2 is Josh Allen. He loves Josh Allen for some reason. And then number 1 is Patrick Mahomes. I have no issue with Stafford being there at 5. I don't think Allen, I get it because of Burrow's injuries. People are starting to move him down the list. I would rank Lamar ahead of Allen personally, just because I think that Lamar is more consistent than Josh Allen is. Now, the Ravens aren't. The Ravens tend to struggle in the big moment as a team. But I think overall Lamar's body of work is more consistent, whereas Josh has more ups and downs. But when you get into the top 5, you're just splitting hairs as far as I'm concerned. They're all great quarterbacks. But we knew that Mahomes was going to be 1. But I also think that at the end of the day, for at least one more season, I would put Burrow at 2. I know he has the injury history, but I think I would start him off at number 2 this season. And if he gets hurt again this season, he's probably out of my top 5 going into next season. But I look at what Joe Burrow is and what I know he is, Mo, and I can't walk away from that because I know when he's healthy
what he can be.
He can be.
Look, I'm with you. It's funny because I feel like there's 2 guys who are very similar, but I hope Joe Burrow doesn't go through or have to go through what Matthew Stafford had to go through for so many. I'm one of those guys. I made the mistake of betting against the Rams and Matthew Stafford last year while you were on the train early.
Yep.
And I readily admit he's one of the great flinger of the football we've ever seen. And I really think that the Rams are going to be pretty good this season. I'm a Niners fan. The team I'm most afraid of in my division are the Rams because of a healthy Matthew Stafford.
All right, Mo, take us to a close on a Thursday.
Appreciate you guys joining Chris and I. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at the Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network. We appreciate you guys.
Guys, we'll be back same time, same place tomorrow, wrapping up the week. Make sure you are here with us. Coffee and Sports. It's the morning show powered by Wire to Wire Network.